have that up here again today. Well, that was only part of the operation. The other part of the operation was Cyber Guardian 2 that went on at the very same time, but we didn't want to overshadow these very evil people with the volume of people we arrested last week. So the reality of it is we arrested 173 people in our fall operation, not just 160. But that wouldn't have been possible except through the help of our police agencies that worked with us. In this particular part of the operation, we were joined by the Auburndale Police Department. We have Chief Andy Ray here today, and he will speak. We also were joined by the Bartow Police Department. Chief Brian Dorman's with us. The Davenport Police Department worked with us, Chief Bill Schrader. The Hernando Sheriff's Office, we have Detective Jack Evans with us. He did a remarkable job, and we appreciate him and Hernando for working with us. We also have our friend Mark Brotnell with us. He is the special agent in charge for FDLE. And quite frankly, when we work these operations and these folks are outside of the county and don't travel, we have to get to them very quickly in order to effect an arrest and get their devices so that they can't destroy it, hide it. And FDLE certainly launches people all over the state of Florida in a matter of minutes whenever we need help. Plus, they were with us in lockstep in the operation. FDLE is our partner really every day at the Sheriff's Office as we do undercover operations and long-term investigations. We were also assisted by detectives from the Orange County Sheriff's Office and the Tampa Police Department. And that is very important because, ladies and gentlemen, no one agency can do these complex investigations very successfully without partnerships. Now listen, if you're watching me online today and you're from another part of the nation, and your police agencies, state, federal, local, county, if they're not working together to go after these type of evil people in your community, you can be sure of one thing. They are attracting a certain percentage of the children to sexually abuse. They are grooming children online. They are seeking out children to have sex, and a percentage of them are successfully finding those children. So as I talk to people across the state and across the nation, your police agencies need to do what we're doing here. When you look and you think about what does evil people really look like, what does a pedophile really look like, what does a child sex predator really look like, what does some of the most despicable people in the entire world really look like? Here's your photos. This is them. They were online. 8 traveled, 5 didn't. I'll give you details in a minute. But they were grooming and talking to children. You'll hear in a minute how they were sending not only pornography, but nude photographs of themselves to what they believe to be 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old children. You'll hear about those that traveled and the different jobs that they have. Some of this stuff you just can't believe. But I can tell you that research shows us if we don't keep these people locked up, if we don't keep tabs on them, they're going to offend again. You know what's really scary about this? When you think of this kind of criminal, most of these folks don't have an arrest record. This is not your traditional criminal. This is your evil person that lurks beneath the level of society looking for children. So they're not the kind of guy that robs and steals and burgles. They're the kind of criminal that attacks your children. And that's what they thought they were doing, except our great detectives, who are simply the very best in this business, stopped them. Stopped them from getting to your children because we were undercover. So let's talk about the pictures of some of them. And I'll flip through them rather quickly. But there's Luis Velasquez. He's 30. He thought he was talking to a 15-year-old girl. He didn't travel, but his language was graphic. He sent nude photos, and he confessed. Oh, by the way, Chris Hansen, do you remember the old series To Catch a Predator? He's doing a new series. So he was with us embedded as well. Now, some of these people lawyered up to us, but every one of them talked to Chris Hansen. We appreciate that. Then there's Michael Hojewski. He's 28. He didn't travel. He just talked nasty to a 14-year-old girl, he thought. He was trying to groom her. He was very graphic. He confessed. Oh, when he's not doing that, he's an independent dock builder. Well, newsflash, Michael, I don't need any docks built in the jail. So you can just be unemployed. Nicholas Jenkins, 27, from Winter Garden. That's right. He traveled. He came from Winter Garden thinking he was approaching a 15-year-old girl. He talked dirty. He confessed to us. But at the end of the day, I want you to understand, you're going to hear about people that traveled great distances to get to what they thought was your little girl. Then there's Neri Banda. He didn't travel, but he talked to a 14-year-old male. He was very graphic. He sent porn pictures. He worked at the Amazon warehouse as an inventory selector, and he confessed. So if your Amazon orders don't get there quite as quick, we got one of the selectors locked up. Then there's Matthew Silva from Melbourne. That's right, he came from the other coast. I'm sorry, he didn't travel. He was talking about coming from the other coast. He talked to two different undercover people, thought they were 14-year-old girls. He sent nude photos. He confessed. Oh, he's a bag boy for Publix, or he was. I bet Publix doesn't keep him around anymore. But think about it. The dude that's carrying your groceries to the car is the same one that would like to groom your daughter online, or your son. Then there's Andrew Lewis. He came from Orlando. He traveled. He works at Lockheed Martin as an AV tech. And he came all the way here thinking he was going to be with a 14-year-old male. And then there's John Hunter. He's 52 years of age. He was from Davenport. He should know better. He's from Polk County. That's right. He traveled to the undercover location, and he announced to us that he is a mechanic for Budget Auto Parts, and that, I work on your cars. That's a scary thought to us. We're going to modify that somehow. He sent nude photos to this, what he thought was a child, and he was totally excited, and his communication showed that a 14-year-old girl had interest in a 52-year-old man. Newsflash, it wasn't a 14-year-old girl. It was a detective pretending to be 14, and John Hunter won't be working on any cars for a while. Then there was Joshua Cummings. He was from Davenport. These people must have just recently moved to Polk County, or either they normally live under a rock. So he traveled to the undercover location to meet a girl that was 14. He wanted to spank her. He was a subcontractor, by the way, for Whitting, Turner and Company. They build roller coasters, and he was currently building a roller coaster at Disney, but he was not a Disney employee. He's just a deviant. But think about this. These folks are traveling to homes, to parks, to shopping centers, and taking the risk of interacting with someone they don't even know on the outside chance that they've groomed the right person. And then there's Juan Guzman from Hollywood, Florida. He was one of our faithful travelers from the south end of the state. He thought he was going to meet a girl that was 14. He works in maintenance at Memorial West Hospital in Pembroke Pines. He's married. Did you hear me? He's married. So you say to yourself, Self, how did he hide that from his wife? Well, he had a secondary job that he was a painting contractor. So he told his wife that when he got off work at the hospital, he had to go do some painting. Well, we don't need any painting in the county jail, but we did paint him a nice picture in our bookend center online because he spoke very graphically, sent a nude photo of himself. Oh, by the way, we also have an ICE hold on him for the federal government. But the one who gets the prize for traveling the farthest is Matthew Bonjean. He's from Hemet, California. He's 46 years of age. Matthew traveled to our undercover operation thinking he was going to be with a 12-year-old girl. He works for Zaim Imaging. He's a field service tech, and he works on radiology equipment. And he was in Orlando for training. And he made the statement to us, you know it's got to be true. You can't make this stuff up. I thought this moved kind of fast, that we were able to wrap this deal up pretty quick. Man, it was just like a Chris Hansen deal. Surprise. It was a Chris Hansen kind of deal. And then when he saw Chris Hansen, he was a fanboy. He thought, oh my gosh, Chris Hansen. It's nice that he confessed. We appreciate him talking to Chris. Now, the way that deal works, when we embed the media, and you're all invited to come on these operations, as soon as our law enforcement investigation is over and our interviews are over and they're waiting for a ride, a free one-way ride to the county jail, you're free to talk to them if they want to talk to you. And this dude just talked Chris Hansen's ears off. Well, Matthew, I know you were starstruck. You're also jail-struck. Then there's John DeSeri. He's 39 from Venice, Florida. He traveled a long way because he thought he was going to be with a 14-year-old girl. Now get this, okay? I want to put you in the moment. You decide that you need a security system for your home or for your business, and you call Hotwire Security Alarm Company. They very well may send John to you. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's what he does. He works for a Hotwire Security Alarm Company. Oh, he was also in possession of cocaine and heroin. He sent nude photographs of an adult male that he said was himself. He confessed to us, but he had some bravado. He said, I knew it was a sting. Well, you're a real dummy if you knew it was a sting and you showed up anyway. So the next time you have an alarm company that's working on your alarm or installing your alarm, know who they're sending to your house. How about them eyes? You like those eyes? Can you imagine the guy knocking on your front door and looking like that and going, I'm here to work on your alarm? He needs a stick in the eye, but he doesn't need to be working on your alarm systems. This is crazy. But that's who these people are. They're not twins. They could be, but they're not. Same guy. Then there's Juan Diaz. Juan's 35. He traveled thinking he was going to interact with a 14-year-old child. Get this. Are you ready for this? This may be the most interesting conversation after the arrest. He's a service tech with LineWise Ltd. And there's a lot of people that say to themselves, who or what is LineWise Ltd? Well, among their jobs, they install internet safety firewall blocking systems at schools to protect children from sexual predators. That's what he does. So he's talking to his mom on the jail phone calls, okay? You can't make this stuff up. This is just crazy. He's talking to his mom and he says, Mom, they're going to fire me at work. And apparently she says, well, why would they do that? He says, I'm the one that's supposed to install the software so this stuff doesn't happen. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear that? I have done a lot of evaluation, and I think this guy's got cabbage for brains. And then there's Kevin Sanders from Winter Garden. He's 42. Every undercover operative that does these operations in Central Florida probably at some point in time has chatted with Kevin. He's a 16-year Disney employee. He currently works in IT as a service tech. He used to work in a program for a couple of the parks that were doing public relations for children. He did not travel, but when he confessed, he says, I have a chatting addiction. Well, Kevin, I have an addiction too. It's called an arresting addiction. You see, I like to arrest people who do things like you do. And my detectives were able to finally catch him. We've been trying to catch this guy for a long time, but he's good at dummying up his phone numbers and hiding his transmissions. But our detectives, who are the best, caught him. And he chatted with several of our people. He thought he was going to chat it up as he was a 13-year-old. Well, not only is Kevin a 16-year employee of Disney, not only does he have a chatting addiction, but he's married with 2 small children. I feel sorry for his wife and his 2 small children. But his wife needs to know she's married to a guy who's got a huge problem. Now he's got more than one huge problem. Now he's got a huge problem because there's serious criminal charges against him. But these are the people who are online trying to groom your children. And they go to areas where you would find children. They go to gaming sites. They go to social apps that attract young children. And they hang out. Kind of like back in the day we used to think about the evil people that hung out in public parks. So why do they go there? Because that's where the children are. And they want to be around them. And they want to sexually abuse them. That's why we say clearly and unequivocally, parents, you're the first line of defense. Because online, these evil people can have a lot of charisma, a lot of personality, a lot of energy. They know how to talk kid, and that makes them even more dangerous than their photos appear. With that, first, we'll hear from Mark Brutnell, who is a special agent in charge for FDLE at Tampa office, and then the Auburndale Police Chief, Andy Ray. will speak after that.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you for having me the unenviable position of following you, but thank you. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the investigators and the analysts who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, but also behind the computer screens to make this possible. These cases are very technical in nature. They require lots of training, a lot of dedication, a lot of patience. As the sheriff alluded to, the last individual, he was doing that a long time. It took a lot of patience to catch him. In 2021, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received 29 million tips for child sexual exploitation. Think about that, 29 million tips. As a law enforcement officer and as a father, that's concerning. That's also unacceptable. We've got to do a better job of talking to our kids and turning these folks in. So again, to echo the sheriff's comments, I implore you parents tonight to have those difficult conversations with your kids about the internet. The internet is a very, very bad place. It's also a good place, but have those conversations because you don't know who your kids are talking to on these apps in different chat forums. They could be talking to their friends, but they could be talking to one of these 13, and nothing good comes out of that. So again, I appreciate the partnerships. Central Florida has great partnerships when it comes to ICAT cases and working these types of things. And again, without the partnerships, this could not be possible. So thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
I'd like to thank the sheriff for involving us as well again in this operation. The opportunity for us to work together with the sheriff's office and the other county police agencies and FDLE is very important. That relationship and the work that they do and that we do as part of that group is super important. Just to follow up on Special Agent in Charge Britnell's comments, you know, I was looking at the list from the other portion of this investigation, and there are 7 human trafficking victims on that list. There's a really good chance that several of those were groomed by people just like this, and then were drawn away from their families and put into the business against their will. There is a lot of trust put in people online, people that these kids don't have any idea who they're talking to. And again, just can't stress enough the importance of parents and grandparents talking to children, young teens, about the need to be careful and also using parental controls to reduce the opportunities for people to get into their phones and into their homes to talk to their kids. Thanks also to the media today for your interest in this and for sharing this, because this is something that parents need to hear. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
In this operation and prior operations, when you seize their computers, do you find evidence that they were talking to actual children like this as well? Sometimes,
because that's what they do. Now, sometimes they try to erase it, but we find evidence that they've been online scouring for children as well. So yes. Anything else? Before I close out today, Andy Ray retired from the sheriff's office as a top boss after 25 years and then went to the Auburndale Police Department as a chief of police. And he's about to retire after 10 years of service and a total of 35 years in the business. Andy's a dear friend of mine. He's been a great chief. He was a great deputy and sergeant, and lieutenant and captain for us. And certainly we're going to try to coach him into volunteering, working part-time, or whatever he wants to do. But I want you to know the people of Polk County and of Auburndale are safer because Andy Ray has served them for 35 years. He's made a big difference. He and his team have put bad guys in jail, arrested people who otherwise would have preyed on you, and he's always been a partner in every operation we did along with these other folks. So when I talk about nationwide, you need to ask your police chiefs and your sheriffs and your state police and your feds, what are y'all all doing together to attack these folks? Because they're out there and they're trying to get to your children. And it's people like our detectives and our analysts and our great men and women. We all partner together because you know what? Our goal is to keep you safe, and we do a pretty good job of that in Polk County. We can even do a better job if you see something or hear something and say something. God bless y'all. See you soon.